I'm Andrew Mudd. I'm the president of ASLA-VT, and today we have Ricky Wiatt from VHB and Olivia Hammill from Kimley-Horn here to help us learn about the hiring process and ways to stand out. Would you like to introduce yourselves? I guess Ricky first.
I was going to let Olivia go first, but that's fine. Ladies first there. So I'll go ahead. So thank you, Andrew. I was in your position almost 20 years ago. Well, yeah, 20 years ago, president of ASLA at VT. So all my VT stuff in the background is not props. I don't rotate it around depending on what school I'm talking to. But so I'm a proud alumni of Tech. Been a landscape architect, worked for two firms, came right out of college, worked for a small architectural planning firm, and about 8 years ago went over to VHB, multidisciplinary firm, planning, environmental engineering firm. So good. I guess it's not morning anymore. It's good afternoon to everybody.
Awesome.
Well, Ricky, nice to be on a panel with you.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Olivia Hammill. As Andrew mentioned, it's nice to see you all. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I am with the college recruiting team at Kimley-Horn. I am not a landscape architect, nor am I a Virginia Tech alum. So I am a little bit of an odd woman out here, I guess, but I'm still excited to have a chance to talk to you all. I work really closely with our landscape architects all across our firm and look forward to answering your questions today.
All right, thank you so much for coming today. So now we will get into our questions. The first one being, what is the typical timeline for job applicants?
So Olivia, we might be the perfect combination here because some of these are more geared to the HR recruiting side and some of them are more to the discipline side. So if I'll let you handle the timeline question maybe first.
Sure, yeah. So we typically will start our recruiting almost a year in advance of when we expect people will actually start with us. This goes for both internships and for full-time positions. So if we think about 2023, 2024 cycle, we started looking for our interns for the summer of 2024 back at the end of the summer of 2023. So we will keep our positions open. We'll keep looking for students until we fill all of our spots, but typically there's a good 10 months there where we are on the lookout for people. Very similar for full-time hires. Our hope is that the interns we have over the summer will be able to convert into full-time hires. And so our goal is that our interns leave at the end of the summer if they're getting ready to graduate in the next semester or two with an offer to come back full-time. So that kind of kicks off at the end of the summer. For those who didn't intern with us but are still interested in Kimley-Horn, very similar to that intern timeline, like I mentioned, we'll start looking for them at the beginning of the academic year to join us once they finish up school.
So I'll just add on to that. We're at VHB, we're very similar to that timeline. And the way I typically do it, I've attended the career fairs. I really like the fall career fair as the first introduction to meet the students, and whether it's an intern or a full-time position. And that gives you all the opportunity to really spend a little bit of time vetting and seeing which firms you want to interview with or line that up. And then use your holiday break is a great time, Thanksgiving, Christmas, when you're home, or if you have ability to travel to where you're looking at positions. That's, in my mind, that's like a great opportunity to have that face-to-face interview, and then go back and really, we try to, like Olivia said, have everything lined up by about this time definitely for full time. Interns a little bit more flexible. We have a lot of offices across the footprint, again, like Kimley-Horn. So we have more flexibility on interns, accepting some of those later into the spring.
All right, thank you. So our second question is, what qualities do you look for in an entry-level applicant?
Ricky, you want to start off this one, or do you want me to give it a try first?
I'll go ahead on this one. So really entry level, Our biggest thing is attitude. I mean, we understand that some of y'all might be better at AutoCAD than others, or the Adobe suites, or graphics, or hand rendering. But what our biggest is just willingness to ask questions, you know, willing to also to listen, willing to, you know, take a little bit of critique. I mean, I know you hear that in college a lot from your professors, but being able to take direction and just not being afraid to try something new and, you know, dive right in. But yeah, again, it's more the attitude than really being a whiz bang at all these different programs.
I would definitely agree with that. We are certainly not expecting you to be experts on really anything, either as an intern or as a full-time hire. We know you may have gotten some exposure to the Adobe Suite or Lumion or SketchUp in some of your classes or in a prior internship, but we also know you may not have a lot of exposure or experience to that. And so we're confident we can teach you those technical skills that you'll need to be successful here at the firm, but it's some of those other things like attitude, willingness to learn that are a little more challenging to teach. So if you already kind of have those things as you're starting out in an internship or an entry-level full-time role, you're probably going to be off to a pretty good start.
All right. Thank you for that. Our third question is, what do you look for when reviewing a resume, and what should students avoid adding to their resumes?
We'll
tag team. Go ahead, Olivia. You take this one first.
Yeah, this is a good question, Andrew. I wouldn't say there's necessarily one or two specific things that we're looking for. We know that people travel a number of different paths to get to Kimley-Horn or to get into our application system. And so typically, if somebody is interested, they're willing to learn, they've got some of those things we just talked about a minute ago, we're happy to talk to them. Obviously, if someone's interested in a full-time role, some kind of background in landscape architecture is helpful. So a degree in that can certainly go a long way. But we aren't necessarily looking for people that have had an internship before or who have participated in some specific student organization. We're more interested in what is it that you've done? What is it that's on your resume? What can you speak to regarding your interests? Where do you hope to go in your career, either in the short term or the long term, or perhaps both? And what kind of conversation can we have around those things? And do we have something that maybe is going to be interesting and fulfilling to you as you kind of get started in your role, either as an intern or a full-time hire? So we really just like to have a conversation with you initially and figure out where you want to go and if we can help you get there.
So again, you'll hear a lot of similar answers here, but I think one thing to add on, a resume, I mean, I remember I've only done resumes twice in my life. I mean, when I got my first job, and then when I switched to, well, really didn't even have to do much of one when I switched jobs. I was recruited, but it's hard to put it all down on a piece of paper. One of the things that we recommend, and I'm sure Kimley-Horn same way, having an up-to-date LinkedIn profile, that digital tracking, so because a lot of our recruiters look at that, and not just, I mean, having a good digital portfolio there, but listing your other experience, what clubs you're involved with, athletics or music, or just what do you do outside, and keeping that going up to date. What are your other interests? And then, I mean, even on that, being active in the landscape architecture community, whether you're commenting on a story or sharing a story from the LAR magazine, or like some post that just shows what you're interested, I think is great. Because again, that one, the resume you hand, that's just a snapshot right then, but it's really what you've done over your career. The second part was what to avoid. We don't need a list of every summer job you had when you were in high school. Like, I mean, if you lifeguarded here or flipped burgers there. But on that same token, if you worked at a landscape contractor or landscaping or building or some type of thing that, like, I mean, that's what I built houses when I was in high school. I mean, I worked, so understanding construction, that does go a long ways in our profession, a design profession. I lifeguarded too. that doesn't help me now. I don't, probably not. But so just being, you don't have to have every little job as your history, but just picking your most relevant is really important.
All right, Olivia, do you have anything to piggyback on that last comment?
About what to avoid?
Yes.
I think Ricky made a good point. We don't necessarily need to know what you were doing the summer between your first year and your second year of school. I'm sure it was formative at the time and hopefully helped to get you where you are now. But if you have something a little more recent that you can speak to, that always helps. And if it's relevant to landscape architecture, that's great. But I'll also say, I know there are times when, for whatever reason, maybe somebody can't get an internship experience over the summer, or maybe they had to take care of a family member or something like that. As long as you can speak to what you were doing with your time and relate it to what you hope to be doing in either your internship or your full-time role, we can kind of ask some follow-up questions to probe and figure out, again, do you seem to kind of have some of those skills maybe you've gained in other ways, and talk about that.
Okay, awesome. So our fourth question is, what kind of work or components do you like to see in portfolios, and what makes a portfolio stand out?
I can give a couple quick things, Ricky.
Okay.
And then as the landscape architect, I'm sure you will have plenty of things to add. It's always great to spell check your portfolio. There have been a number of times where I have looked at things and something's misspelled or a sentence isn't finished, and I send it to the team and they point that out, and it leads to some questions about your attention to detail. Do you quality check your work? So little things like that can really make a big difference. We are not expecting you to have 1,000 projects to draw from over your time as a student, but what are some of the ones that you're really proud of? What are some of the ones that you really were able to learn a lot from? What are some of the ones that really helped you build your technical skills? And can you showcase those in your portfolio? Our teams will always ask for a portfolio from any of our LA candidates. So if you don't have one, I would suggest going ahead and start putting something together. And that way, when you are talking to a firm like one of ours, you'll have something to show as you're going through kind of that recruitment process.
Yeah, so I mean, again, you're hearing a lot of the same things. Yeah, the little details are very important. I'll say from the design, we know that the projects you do in college, a lot of times they're chosen by the professors. So they might not speak to your necessary like what you're really interested in, but showing a variety. I mean, show that your process. Don't be afraid to throw hand sketches in, bubble diagrams so we can understand like how to think through, get from the beginning to the end. And then because I mean they don't all have to be this fine finished polished graphic. Now, with that same vein, you don't necessarily have to show a first year project, a second year project, a third year project, fourth year project. We want to see your best work. Now, for an interview, you may bring some of those along so we can see your progression. But when we get stacks of portfolios, we want to see like your best work. So pick those few that are your very best, show the process, grab the attention. They don't put long 3-4 page narratives with it. I mean, give us the highlights. But then again, hopefully you get to the interview stage. That's where you tell more of the story of behind the projects you're showing. So really the portfolio is meant to be condensed and really your highlights.
Okay, thank you. And then our final initial question is, what are good questions to ask a company about during an interview, and what are questions to avoid?
Go ahead, Olivia. You're the recruiting.
So good questions to ask. I would say first, ask yourself a couple of questions. Ask yourself, what am I hoping to get out of the place that I'm working for? If it's an internship, Am I trying to build some technical skills? If that's something that's really important to me in my summer experience, then that would be a question that I might ask during the interview process. What resources do you have that may help me build some of my technical skills? If you're really interested in working on communication and explaining projects that you're working on, or potentially learning more about how to win work or work with clients, maybe that's something that you ask about in the interview phase. I would think about things that are really important to you when you're thinking about where you want to work, and help kind of craft your questions around that. A lot of students will ask us things like, what's your favorite part about working at Kimley-Horn or whatever company? There is nothing wrong with that question. You're probably going to get some similar answers across the board, I would imagine. But that's one we hear a lot. We'll have a lot of students ask us about professional development opportunities, or can I build a career there? Do you try to convert your interns into full-time hires? Students ask us that a lot. Students will also ask us about project examples, which we're happy to talk about too. So I would think about things that are really important to you, and I would ask the companies that you're talking to those questions and see how they respond. And I think that'll also help you figure out what you think could be a good fit for you, short term and potentially even longer term.
Again, similar answers there. I guess one bit of advice, try to do as much research on who you're interviewing with. Go in and like know some specific projects that firm has designed or been part of. Then you can ask questions and it's more of engaging instead of these boilerplate questions of, like Olivia said, what's your favorite part of the job? Like, so I mean, we are all the companies are putting news blasts out again on LinkedIn, on social media, on our websites about projects as we're completing them, kicking them off, whether we're presenting at conferences. So there's a lot of great news stories out there about what we're doing. So find those before you interview, and then you can ask questions, about those. What was the LA's role in that project? How would you have done things differently? I mean, ask things like that, that are just more conversational and shows your interest, like your genuine interest, and it's just not another interview. That really goes a long way. In the interview.
That's a very good point. We will sometimes get, Kimberly-Horn, things like that when students are talking to us, which is fine. We're not going to disqualify someone from an internship because they call our firm the wrong name, but it certainly helps if you're prepared and you know who you're talking to, because it shows that you have a genuine interest in the firm itself.
When you ask what does VHB stand for? So, you can do research and find it on your own, but it's fine. Like, but the biggest thing is just, don't stress. So, I mean, it's meant to be a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any things that students or prospective employees bring up in interviews that are like a no-go immediately?
I mean, I don't think you need to come out the gate talking about salary and compensation and all of that. I mean, that will come. I mean, let the conversation go there. Most of the time, the firm will bring that up. This day and age, I mean, you can do a lot of research on what starting salaries are and what the standard benefits are. Each company offers a little something different. It's really more on the benefit side, and that's just the way it is a good market to come out into right now. So I would that just part of the interview doesn't need to come up right away. And just reiterating earlier, like the boilerplate questions, I mean, they're fine, but it's better if you have some more like specific about the firm you're talking with questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions that are coming to mind among the students? Come up, Lucy. Ask a question.
How are you? I'm Lucy. I'm the vice president. Nice to meet you. Thank you
Nice.
for everything you've spoke about today. We appreciate it. My question kind of backtracks a little bit to the second question we spoke about. You know, maybe not necessarily being 100% equipped in all the type of, you know, Adobe services or all that sorts of stuff. What does that transition period look like? You know, say you're not super well-rounded in SketchUp, for example, and when you're first kind of starting off maybe in the internship or in an entry-level job, what does that transition period look like on y'all's end in teaching us? Or is that kind of just, hey, learn from your neighbor, ask some questions as things come up? Or is it more of here's some resources that can help in learning the program? Just curious on what that looks like.
Sure. Olivia, you want me to take that or? Sure. So, and I almost had one of our interns with us from last summer. I was eyeing her this morning, but I had her. She needed to get something else done for me because that's something. Both of our summer interns last year have stayed on while they're at Ball State and are working part-time while they're still doing their studies. But not everybody is going to use SketchUp. Not everybody is going to use AutoCAD all the time. So it's part of our job to understand where best to position you. If you really have a strong desire to learn SketchUp, then we will put you in classes. You will learn from your neighbors, but we have training resources in-house, and we have like work groups throughout because we have 30 offices up and down the coast, and so we'll have like lunchtime meetings where everybody that's kind of entry level SketchUp will get together and say, hey, did you know about this cool tool or know about that? But I mean, I'm thinking about, you know, both of our interns this last summer did work in SketchUp. A couple of our entry level, one of them, she's amazing at doing reports, and writing is her strong port. Actually, Sarah Lamp, she used to teach at, she was a professor there. So Sarah does a lot of our reports and pulling together graphics. So, I mean, we recognize that as her strong point. She's not using SketchUp. It's fine. It's not going to hold her back at all. So it's, I mean, it really, I mean, if that's something you want to do, we support it, and we would absolutely, you know, pay for classes and, you know, whatever is necessary. But I don't want people to think that that's the only track you have to go on.
Yeah, I'd say it's very similar for us too. If you need to know how to use some kind of program to be able to do your job and you don't know how to, we will give you the training to make sure you're equipped to. Or if it's something you're just interested in, we're happy to support that too. If it benefits you, if it benefits the client, we will find a way to make it work for you. We also have, beyond the technical training, some more of the professional development things. So what does it mean to be a consultant? What does it mean to have strong communication skills, to build and manage a budget, things like that. So we try to set our people up to kind of do all different sides of the business part too. And so I'd say more so on the full-time side of things as opposed to some of the things you would do as an intern. But we'll give you all the skills that you need to be able to do your job and really be able to build a career as a landscape architect and as a consultant at the firm.
And it's the long game. I mean, as Olivia said, I mean, the interns, we want to set you up. I mean, obviously, companies are really investing in our interns. I mean, you do get paid most of the time, I mean, but we're going to put more money into it. So we want y'all to have a great experience and come back to us. We don't want to be this continual cycle where you're intern for us one summer and then you leave and we never see you again. The goal is obviously always to interns to full-time position whenever it's the right fit. So
Great, thank you for that insight.
Yep.
Hello, I'm Sarah. I'm the graduate representative. So I just wanted to quickly ask, I know both of you hire a lot of Hokies, and I know that at least I know from the Kimley-Horn side that they're really looking for Hokies, especially in LA. What's something that Virginia Tech landscape architecture really sets apart from other landscape architecture schools, and what's something you think we can kind of work on personally or within our school to kind of become better candidates for your companies?
Ricky, I think you should take this one.
So we do hire a lot of Hokies. We were on a good run there where that was all we were hiring for a while. So and it's still good. We have recently we have expanded. Jessie Barnes joined us. She was previously working for an architectural firm, and she is a part-time professor at Ball State, and so that's where we got our last two interns because of that relationship. But it's really about the relationship that draws us to Tech. We know what y'all are doing year round. We know all the professors. I was up there for the 50th anniversary. Some of my colleagues are coming next weekend for the awards and symposium. Yeah, I'm season ticket holder, so I'm there in the program. I'm seeing the professors. And so we know what y'all are working on. So I think that gives us comfort and reassurance that that you're getting hands-on experience in a lot of different projects. So it's the comfort of knowing the people. That's not to say that we won't hire from other universities. But it's just something about we know Hokies can get the job done, and it's like I said earlier, it's the attitude, just a good work ethics and just positive attitude. I think and it's great to surround yourself with fellow Hokies, especially on nights like tonight when we got to knock off that other school.
Yeah.
But it does make for fun camaraderie in the office too. I mean, we do have a Wahoo. He's an engineer down a couple cubes away, and again, we have a Clemson, couple ODUs, but on the engineering side. But most of our LAs are still Hokies.
I'm actually going down to Blacksburg after this meeting ends, so hopefully I'll see some of you all walking around on campus. But like Ricky said, we have been fortunate to hire a number of Hokies from the LA program, from the engineering department. Virginia Tech's actually the 4th largest feeder school for Kimley-Horn as a whole. So we know that anytime we come to Tech, we're going to meet really great students who not only work hard and who want to learn, but who also are really good communicators, really good team players, and those are all the things that we look for. So we're very fortunate to have so many Hokies on board, and I'm excited to be there in a couple hours.
Thank you.
All right, does anybody else have a question they'd like to ask right now? Okay, I guess to wrap this up, are there any final tips and tricks that you would like to offer to our students as they go into the application getting job process?
I'll just say, don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone. I mean, you're only in a college. I mean, you hear it, it's a cliche. You're only in college once or maybe twice, but maybe 3 times, but you're there and enjoy it. I mean, if you have an opportunity to, I mean, this isn't necessarily we have a bunch of offices in different places, but if you want to live in Atlanta for 3 months in the summer, take a chance and do it if you're from Virginia, or if you want to go up to Boston for 3 months. I mean, now's your chance to kind of explore and look outside of your comfort zone if you have the opportunity. I mean, a lot of times, I mean, again, I speak about our interns last year. They had never been to the state of Virginia. They were from both of them, Indiana and Illinois, and they took a chance. I remember sitting down at their lunch when we took them. I think we took them to lunch like 3 days their first week. They couldn't eat anymore, but they were like, well, how do we prepare for hurricanes, or how do we do this, or like they had just never experienced Virginia. And now I mean, one of them is coming back full time, is moving to Virginia this when she graduates, and the other one, like I said, is still interning with us. So that's my biggest piece of advice, is just don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone for when you're looking for positions.
That is really good advice, and something I was definitely scared of myself when I was in your shoes. So learn from us and challenge yourself now to do some of these things. I know there's a lot of events happening next week, so go to them, meet some people like me, like Ricky, introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what you're interested in, see if there are opportunities out there that could be a good fit for you. Don't be afraid to talk to people. I know it can be a little scary and a little intimidating, but Ricky and I are very nice. The people that we work with are really nice, and we're there to learn more about you. And if we have opportunities, we would love to talk to you about them if you're interested. So don't hesitate to try to make those connections with people. You never know. You may not have something this summer with a particular firm, but that doesn't mean you won't in a couple years, or you won't work with somebody who ends up there. So it's never too late or too early to start making some of those connections. So put yourself out there and meet some people.
Absolutely. From somebody that goes to several career fairs. I'm not going tonight. Our firm will be there, but it's nothing worse to just sit there and not have people come up. I mean, we are there to talk to y'all. I mean, you could talk to us about the weather or basketball or football or whatever, but just come and have a conversation, and then, see where it leads is great advice.
All right, well, thank you all so much. I believe a representative from both VHB and Kimley-Horn will be at the Architecture and Design Career Fair next week on Monday, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
And then Olivia, you said that you're going to be leaving to come to Virginia Tech today. So she'll be around at, where will you be for that?
The Civil and Environmental Engineering Fair at the Inn at Virginia Tech is tomorrow. So we'll be there. So if you're around and want to stop by, come say hi. I would love to meet you in person.
All right. Once again, thank you so much. And we hope that you both have a great day. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ricky.
Yep. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Yes.